Very much. We're just going to keep chugging along here. Next up we have Bill Ritchie. He was the past president of the Albany Public School Teachers Association and a member of the Area Labor Federation. Please welcome Bill.
Good afternoon, everybody. Students, teachers, community members. I want you to know that your elementary school teachers and your high school teachers are standing with you, and they're standing behind you in your struggle to stop the attacks on public education. The nationwide cuts to public education are vicious and must be seen in their widest context as an extension of the neoliberal model of capitalist development, which constantly pumps out the mantras that private is good, public is bad, that profits must be maximized regardless of the cost, human or otherwise, and that unions are the problem. This model, which brought us the ongoing, devastating recession, unemployment with 20 to 30 million workers either unemployed, forced into part-time employment, or having given up work, looking for a job, millions of people thrown out of their own homes by bank foreclosures, the greatest disparity in wealth in this country since 1928, the year before the Great Depression, as you know, and the frontal assault on elementary, high school, and higher education. Meanwhile, to make matters worse, we bailed out the very people who wrecked the economy, right? Meanwhile, the 25 highest paid hedge fund managers in this country got between them $25 billion last year, and I said billion, all right? Enough, if you want to switch it around, to put 600,000 beginning teachers to work. As a graduate, of SUNY-Albany, and a proud graduate of SUNY-Albany, I have tried to stay current with university issues, helped, I might add, by my friends from UUP. I know your budgets have been slashed year after year. I know that the state contribution to SUNY operating budget has dropped from 43% to 15%, and I will say a scandalous 15%, right? And that you are struggling to stop the movement to privatize, which contradicts your public mission and is clearly in keeping with the good old neoliberal model, which at its heart is, of course, anti-union. You should be proud of the fact that you, yes you, are defending the public university education, and you struggle to provide an accessible, affordable and quality education for New Yorkers. I want to thank you for doing that. At the elementary and secondary level, the state education cuts have been devastating. This school year, the governor got his way, Patterson, and slashed school aid by $1.4 billion. The largest cut in New York State history. The results have been predictable. Statewide, schools are being starved of resources. Class sizes have rocketed, and thousands of teachers have been fired. Locally, the Albany district lost 100 education positions in 09-10, and another 100 are projected for the coming year. The district provides a classic example of what could happen to elementary and secondary education in New York if we do not act to stop this madness. 12 years ago, we had 17 public schools and 10,500 students. This year, with 10 charter schools in the mix, the number of schools is 27, and we are still serving 10,500 students. Albany taxpayers are forced to pay school taxes for schools of which they did not approve and over which they have no voting authority whatsoever. This year, the district is projected to pay charter schools $30 million to keep their heads above water. Students who continue to attend Albany schools are clearly being disadvantaged, and very seriously disadvantaged, by this outflow of resources. This robbing of Peter to pay Paul is unconscionable. This forced transfer of public education dollars to privately operated charter schools has to stop. The charter funding laws must be changed. At every turn, we are being told by the media that public education is broken. This is how the right wing and conservatives are framing the challenges of public education. As their story goes, there is a villain. The teacher unions, right? No. There is a set of heroes, including Teach for America, Knowledge is Power, and the Reform poster girl, DC Superintendent Michelle Rhee. And there is, of course, the answer to all our problems: charter schools. What you don't see in their latest piece of propaganda, the documentary Waiting for Superman, is that 80% of charter schools are no better, or actually are worse, than their regular public school counterparts. That teachers in unionized charter schools actually like their unions, and that thousands of regular public schools across the country are successfully educating their students, or that national and local teacher organizations, and that includes the Albany Teachers Union, are designing and implementing innovative practices which are getting support from what I would call the more balanced media. At the American Federation of Teachers Convention in Seattle, Bill Gates, yes, Bill Gates, right, said, if reforms aren't shaped by teachers' knowledge and experience, they're not going to succeed. Is the status quo fine with public schools? Absolutely not. The system as a whole needs reform. And yes, there are public schools which need radical reform. But personally, I'm not waiting for one little documentary movie to save public education. And I'm sure not waiting for Superman and his right-wing silver bullets to do too much. It's time to kick his sorry ass back into the comics where he belongs. It's time to stop talking about firing teachers and closing schools. And it's time to talk about supporting teachers, bringing resources to a starving system, focusing on evaluation, which informs classroom instruction, developing the best curriculum, and connecting schools to their communities. My friends, we are living in the richest country in the world. We can't afford education for our children. We can't afford health care for the sick. We can't afford jobs for the unemployed. We can't afford housing for working people. The private sector will not or cannot provide the employment that we need. The transfers of wealth to the rich and the super rich are perverse. What is wrong with this situation? We need to see it for what it really is: a handful of financial elites against the rest of us. It is with this understanding It is with this understanding that we must move forward. Today, and across this country, we are standing up and speaking out to defend public education.